It's the inside that counts. Ever heard that cliche term? Throughout our lives, we've been taught to seek people by their personalities rather than their physical characteristics and/or race. But according to some recent studies on dating sites, there have been racial preferences on to-be partners. Researchers took data from a Facebook app called Are You Interested? Basically, users sign up and go through profile pictures. They can press yes if they like the picture, or they could simply skip it. Then people on the profile pictures are notified if someone yeses them. They can either respond or ignore. 2.4 million heterosexual men and women from the following races, Asian, Caucasian, African American, and Latino, were observed. NPR revealed the following results. All men except Asians in the study preferred Asian women, and all women except Black women preferred white men. Asian women responded 7.8% of the time more often than Latino, white, and Black women, while white men responded to Black women 8.5% of the time less often than any other race. Men respond to women 3 times as much as women respond to men. A study on another dating site, OkCupid, revealed similar but different data. White males happen to be the most popular group for females, while Indian and Asian men were the least popular group, though Asian men got a lot of replies from Middle Eastern women. Asian and Indian women happen to be very selective, along with white women, though they were the second least preferred. The least popular female group was African American. All men except African Americans responded perfectly well with their own race. So why do we have racial preferences? Well, there are lots of possibilities. According to Steve O'Donoghue, an award-winning journalist, it's the cultural stereotypes that happen to draw or repel people from certain races.
So I think that some of these attitudes reflect stereotypes that just haven't died. For example, decades ago, the image of Asian women in America was that they were more submissive and less obstreperous. They were, so white men would like them. And I think those attitudes kind of persist. And then white men, they're basically economically the ones in power, and whoever's in power tends to be on the top.
And what helps spread stereotypes is the media, which is another cause for racial preferences.
And how people are portrayed in the media. I think when it comes to African Americans, you heard a lot of stats about them. They're portrayed negatively most of the time in the media, and I think lots of people take that seriously, and that affects them. It has to do with like a comfort level, I think, more than anything.
Although there is a growing number of interracial relationships, the majority of the public dates people of their own race. According to the University of Columbia research article on racial preferences, people happen to be too hesitant to go after an ethnically different person because they are afraid of rejection. Another reason is that people worry about compatibility in a relationship.
Like, my example is I dated someone from Asia when I lived in Asia, and ended up feeling like we couldn't really connect about humor and kind of storytelling style and things like that. And a lot of times I would make references that person just didn't get because they hadn't experienced the same stuff in childhood that I had. And I thought, bridging that gap was so much work that it didn't feel always like it was worth it. And other factors ended up making that relationship not work, but that was one kind of point of contention. And I think
Columbia University's speed dating experiment on its own college students highlighted many factors on racial preference. One example was age. While younger people had a stronger same-race preference, the older ones, on the other hand, had weaker same-race preferences because of their hopes for finding a committed relationship. Another factor was that the students' background strongly influenced their choices. Students who came from intolerant places preferred partners from their own ethnical group.
I mean, there's prohibitions growing up in some families, right? Against, bringing difference into the home. So those prohibitions are going to be deep-rooted.
Also, the students participating in this experiment did not find the other race attractive, meaning physical characteristics may not have a strong play in ethnical preferences. There is still some racial intolerance in dating, but as generations go by, it is predicted that people may eventually weaken their preferences. Who knows? With the growing spread of culture through interracial relationships, America may eventually become one race. But that will take a while. There are a lot of questions waiting to be answered. This has been Shanor Joffrey with Newsroom by the Bay.